Let's talk end of year reading plans. I am somehow both excited and terrified for this video because accountability is frightening, especially when it comes to reading your TBR. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my reading plans for the rest of the year. There are some books I know I for sure want to get to, and then there is a large amount of books that I'm sure I will just mood read my way throughout the end of the year. I have somewhere between 40 to 50 books on my TBR right now that I own that I need to get through. I won't be able to read that much by the end of the year, obviously. I've probably got about 20 more books in me at this point of filming. Mid-November. Got 6 weeks left of reading. Doesn't leave a lot of room to read a lot, but I have a lot that I would like to read. But I thought it would be fun to share some of my plans with you and then also show you some other books on my TBR, and if there's anything that stands out to you that you think I'm really going to enjoy, that you think I should prioritize instead, I would love to hear that as well. So as you're watching, if there are any books that are sticking out to you that you think I absolutely should read, definitely let me know down in the comments below. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the rest of the books on my TBR, and you can see from that as well if there is anything that stands out to you. First, let's talk about the video that I did at the beginning of this year that was called the 22 books that I need to read in 2022. I just revisited that video to see how many books I've read from that video, and I think it was about one. Pretty sure I've read about one of the books on that list, but a lot of them I am okay with letting go of. Some of them I've already unhauled. I just had different ideas for what I wanted to read at the beginning of this year to what I actually ended up enjoying. I really went full spooky book dedicated for a lot of this year, really focusing on thriller books, horror books, things I really enjoyed, and less focused on reading books because they were popular, because they just felt like something I should try. I really have not picked up a fantasy book all year, I don't think. And I had a whole section that was a couple fantasy books like The Cruel Prince or From Blood and Ash, and I just don't think I really care to read those anymore. So I'm okay with the fact that I did not make really any progress on that list. But one of the books that was on that list that I do feel bad about and I need to hold myself accountable for is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have had this on my list forever. This has been on my TBR every October since the dawn of time. I even told you this year if I did not read this in October, you could unsubscribe from my channel. I don't know if you saw my October wrap up and if you noticed or not, but I did not have this on there because I did not read this in October. My October just got really busy and it's so hard to prioritize classics like ever, and especially when you're busy. And even now, nothing in me wants to read this in the last 2 weeks of November. I just have so many other books I'm so much more excited about, and I don't want to like hold myself to this obligation of reading it, but I really just want to read it just so I'll have read it. I don't know. Maybe if I just get the audiobook I can do it, but I would really love to have this read by the end of the year. Would it be a good December read, like a cozy read? I don't know. I just really want to get it off my list, but I can't promise that it's going to happen. There are still some books from that video that I mentioned that are still on my physical TBR, like the book Betty is still on my TBR, but I just don't think I'm gonna be in the mood for that realistically by the end of the year, and I'm just gonna have to be okay with doing pretty poorly with that list. So that is just the state of things with that. Otherwise, the stack of books that I have is just kind of random books that I'm excited about that I really want to get to by the end of the year, so we'll just go through them one by one. First, we have Moonflowers and Nightshade, which is an anthology collection, a sapphic horror anthology collection that was edited by Samantha Kolesnik. Samantha Kolesnik actually reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in receiving a copy of this for review, and I thought it sounded great, so I did want to receive it. And since Samantha Kolesnik was so kind to reach out to me, I do feel an obligation to at least give it a try and read some stories, because I feel like there's a lot of stories in here, so they should be shorter ones, and I feel like I can at least start to read some of this by the end of the year. And it's a lot of authors I've never heard of before, so a good opportunity too to try new authors and to find some new people that I want to read from next year. So I am planning to at least start reading some of the stories in this by the end of the year. Next, we have They Were Here Before Us by Eric LaRocca. This is the only Eric LaRocca that I have not read, I believe, at this point, but it's really hard to tell because Eric LaRocca publishes so much so fast that I'm always like, whoa, have I read that one? What is that? There's something else coming out? I don't know. But I remembered that this one existed and that I didn't have it yet, and so I just ordered it the other day. It just came in, and this one is said to be a novella in pieces, so I'm not really sure what that means. The back of it says, "The only thing more brutal than nature is love," and it has some gnarly imagery on the cover. So not really sure what this one's going to be about, but I typically enjoy Eric LaRocca's writing, so I'm hoping this will be a good time. And it's very short, so there's no reason to not finish this by the end of the year. I will probably read this during the next 24-hour horror-a-thon, which will be going on in December. More details to come about that very soon. A couple books that are a little bit outside of my typical realm that I was really excited about and wanted to pick up are these two books, which kind of have a nice matching color scheme to them as well. The first one is Emma Straub's This Time Tomorrow, which just sounds like an emotional literary fiction speculative story that I will really enjoy. I have heard really good things about this one. It just feels like the type of book that is going to be heartwarming and comforting and sad in all of the ways that I enjoy, so I really want to read this one. And then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin is a book that I just heard raved about this year. I have only heard amazing, wonderful things about it, and it actually just won the Best Book of the Year award through Book of the Month, the voting that they do each year for all of their Book of the Month selections. This is the one that was the winner for this year, so I think I'm probably gonna do like a dedicated vlog to this maybe in the next week or so look out for that. Here I am again trying to hold myself accountable because it is a chunkier book, and so it does take me a minute to like get into those, but I do have an audiobook for this as well, so it should be easy to pick up. Next we have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, and this was a very highly hyped thriller slash horror book that was talked about a lot this year. All I know about it is that it has something to do with a kid who's drawing creepy pictures, and there are creepy pictures within the book. I have an audiobook for this as well. I wanted to pair the audiobook with the physical book so that I could see the pictures, but also have an audiobook because I just love having an audiobook when I can. I put it off for a long time because I didn't want to read it while it was getting all of the hype, because I felt like I was going to be disappointed if I heard all these people hyping it up and I didn't absolutely love it in that moment. So I let the hype die down a little bit so that I can read it a little bit later and then not go in with such high of expectations, and then kind of make my own judgment of it and see if I enjoy it or not. So I am mildly excited for it at this point. I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but I have heard great things, so hopefully this will be a win for me. Next we have White Horse by Erica T. Worth. This was a Book of the Month Club selection for the month of November. This is a new horror book that is about an Indigenous woman who is haunted by visions of her mother and hunted by a mysterious creature. I will say I don't know if this book is going to be something I'm going to enjoy a ton because it is described as a more gritty book, and gritty books usually aren't my favorite style of thing. So I'm not really sure about it. I'm kind of going in as an exploration of another gritty book, seeing if I enjoy it that time, but this cover was just amazing, and it was just really convenient that it was a Book of the Month Club selection as well, so I decided to pick it up. Next we have a backlist book, My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This is the only Samantha Downing that I have not read yet, and before Samantha Downing comes out with a new book in 2023, I do want to complete her backlist, so I would like to read this one by the end of the year. And I've been in a kick lately of wanting to read these more classic thrillers that were really hyped a couple of years ago instead of reading all the most recent stuff. I just recently read Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris as an example, so I'm like really in the mood to pick up something like this, so I definitely think I'll be able to pick this one up by the end of the year. I don't really know exactly what it's about. I think it might be about a couple who kills people, but I don't really want to know. I kind of want to just go in and be surprised. And then we have The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. I have not read from Sally Hepworth before. This is the first book that I picked up from Sally Hepworth, and I started the audiobook of this a couple of weeks ago when I was on a plane, but I started it like right when I was getting off the plane, so I only listened to the first 30 minutes or 45 minutes or so, and I honestly completely forgot about it until I was reading another book this past week that reminded me of this book, and I was like, oh, I never finished that book. Like I completely forgot to pick it up, and I just left the audiobook just like partially listened to. I was really enjoying this and the characters in it when I started it, so I do want to complete it by the end of the year, and I definitely think that I will, especially since I already started it. I also have some books that I don't own on my physical TBR, but there's some that I have digital copies of as ARC copies, and then there's some that I know there's audiobooks on like Scribd and other platforms like Libby that I could get access to through my library and whatnot that I'm kind of thinking of picking up. So there's a couple book club selections that I'm going to try to get to. The first one is Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger, which is my friend Sav's book club pick for her book club, the Lights Out book club that she does on her channel Riveting Reads. So this is the pick for November, and I've read one book from Lisa Unger before and I didn't absolutely love it, but this one sounds really up my alley with people getting snowed in a cabin, and it just sounds perfect for coming into the winter season. So I'm going to try to listen to the audiobook of this one on Scribd before the book club discussion of that. Then there is Jackal, which is going to be Gabby's book club pick for Gabby Reads for the Book Troop book club. I will say I'm quite nervous for this one now because I heard Jessie from Bow Ties and Books say they did not like this book at all. So that has made me quite nervous for it, but my audiobook hold has already come through on Libby, so I think I'm still going to give it a try. Hopefully I have a better hard time with it. And then there was also House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, which is Kayla's book club pick for the Literally Dead book club. And I have also read one book from Alexis Henderson in the past. Didn't absolutely love it, but thought it was okay. And this one sounds more interesting to me. It has to do with vampires, bloodletting, a blood maid. I don't know, this one just looks more interesting. So I'm also going to try to get the audiobook of this one through the Libby app. Then I'd also like to read A Sliver of Darkness by CJ Tudor. I'm for sure gonna read this one very soon. I have an ARC of this one. It actually already came out, but I have an ebook ARC of this. It is short stories from CJ Tudor, who I love, so I definitely feel like I'm going to pick these up probably by the end of November. And then everything else that I have is kind of like a maybe. If I get in the mood for it, I'm going to read it, but if I'm not gonna force my way through it. I'm kind of going back out of my phase of being interested in ARCs and NetGalley, so I'm not that worried about my feedback ratio right now. I'm just like, if I don't get to them, I don't get to them. So I'll just go through all these really quick. I won't tell you what they're all about because I don't even fully know for all of them, but there's a couple that come out in January. So we have Unnatural Ends by Christopher Huang, which is getting really good reviews, but it is over 400 pages, so it stresses me out. And then The Villa by Rachel Hawkins, which also comes out in January, which I am more likely to pick up because I have read from Rachel Hawkins before and I really enjoyed stuff from Rachel Hawkins, and I have an audiobook of this because I got the audio through LibreFM's ALC program, so I have a much better chance of picking that one up. There's also You Must Remember This by Kat Rosenfield, who I've never read from before. I don't know if this is a debut or if I've just never heard of them before, but just a mystery slash thriller slash horror question mark. And then All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham, who I did read from before, and I did enjoy the last thing I read from her, which was A Flicker in the Dark that came out last year. And then I skipped December, but The Key to My Heart by Leah Lewis. If I'm in the mood for something soft in December, then this will be my Christmassy read because I really enjoyed the book I read from Leah Lewis last December, which was 8 Perfect Hours. I really love that one, and then this book is coming out this December, so I might pick up that one. Maggie Knox also has a new holiday romance coming out this year. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put it here. But I also really enjoyed the book I read from them last December, so I could also maybe end up picking that up if I get in that kind of mood for December. And that is it for all of the ARCs that I have on my radar. Now I will show you everything else on my TBR, and you can let me know if there's anything that's sticking out. If you think, oh my goodness, like drop everything, read that book by the end of the year, you're going to love it, then definitely let me know. Let's go take a look. My end of year TBR. Let me know if you saw anything interesting when we were going through my shelves. Let me know out of my stack that I went through with you which of those sound the most interesting, or if there's anything that you think would make a really good video or a vlog that you would like to see my experience of reading, then definitely let me know. Like I mentioned, the 24-hour horror-a-thon will be happening again in December, so there will still be one more book to add to the list once we figure out what the buddy read is for that readathon. If you don't know what the 24-hour horror-a-thon is, I will direct you to my first announcement video that I did. It was for the August round, but all the details are the same except for dates and the buddy read, but the whole premise of the readathon, all the details are the same there, so that'll be linked down below. I will also link the Instagram page for the readathon, which is where we are currently voting for the buddy read, so make sure you're following there. If you ever do want to participate in the readathon, you can vote for buddy reads there, and just make sure that you catch the announcements for the dates and the live show and the co-hosts and all of that. I will be announcing all that information very soon, probably next week. We're in the final round right now of voting for the buddy read. I already have the co-host all lined up, so that'll just be a matter of getting it all packaged and ready to announce, but those details will be coming very soon, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. And I will also link the Discord down below. We do have a Discord community, which is just a chatting app. It's totally free, and that is where a lot of the readathon takes place, where we chat about what we're reading and all that, so make sure you check that out as well. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!